started making names right away. And I loved it. I was robbing drug dealers and taking their gold right off their neck. And the shit we did, who's going to call the police on you? A drug dealer?
I can identify with anything that was normal, to be honest with you. But I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. Yeah.
99% of the time, you're going to disagree.
Just like the Donnie Brasco situation with Lefty.
Yeah, because the reason why, they figure it this way. You brought this guy around, he ratted on everybody, now he ratted on you. You might turn around and join him and rat on us, so we get rid of you, there's no connection between there and there, and they get rid of you.
Welcome to this episode of Chattin with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today we're going to talk about Sammy the BullShitter Gravano and the interview that Karen did, and she let some things slip out. I don't know if people caught it, but the treachery of this guy. And I'm going to go over it and show you guys. What's up, Evan? How you doing, man? David, shout out to you. Thank you for joining my group, man, and watching my show. I appreciate everybody who watches my show. Make sure you guys hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell so you could get my videos every time they drop. Anthony, what's up with you, man? Chilling. So, if you guys didn't know, Mr. Richie, what's up, bro? If you guys didn't know, Mr. Sammy the BullShitter Gravano did, his daughter, Karen, did an interview with Michael Franzese. And I don't know if you guys watched it, but it was pretty interesting. Everybody knows that Sammy is a treacherous guy, backstabbing, deceit, all that shit, right? But she said something in the interview. I was like, yeah, that's exactly the type of shit that he was doing. And we're going to see if you guys can pick up on some of the shit that she says about her father. So, without any further ado, I want to give a shout out to Michael Franzese. Fair use. Fair use. Michael Franzese. So this is the interview. We're going to go over a little bit of it. We'll start it, I don't know, right? We'll start it right here. Pardon the commercials. I got to get premium. I can't deal with the commercials.
And any young woman that you have that you know, I would advise.
What's up, Deadly? Shout out to you, bro.
And listen to her because she has a lot of wonderful things to say.
Go check out Deadly's show too, man. He's got some good stuff. Let's get into it.
A lot of important things to say, and I think she is a positive influence on young girls, especially if they're going through issues in their life. So, Karen Gravano, here we go. Really excited to talk to you, and I'll tell you why. Ever since I saw your interview on ABC, they did that show on your dad, and you just came across so well. I mean, just so honest, so forthright. My wife and I were watching it, and we said, wow, we both have kind of similar stories up to a point where we grew up with, notorious dads, and we grew up in that household.
But, hold up. Mr. Michael Franzese, your father did not rat. Your father despised rats. So there was no similarities there. I doubt, unless you consider yourself cooperating, something like Mr. Gravano.
And I have, 4 sisters, and I know how they reacted. And
isn't there one of his sisters can't stand him, right? She's got like this vendetta against him, Mr. Franzese. That's what I hear. I never really took the time to look into the situation, but I hear that one of his sisters has a vendetta against him, and they're beefing pretty hard. So I don't know if that's true or not, but I'll look into it.
Honestly, it wasn't quite well. They didn't do well. I mean, I had one sister. Yeah, one sister, she died of an overdose of drugs. She turned to drugs with all the craziness in my household. My other one was never, my younger one too, was never emotionally stable. And she died young also. And my two older sisters that were different mom, same father, different mom, they kind of just didn't want to deal with it. And they went to live with their mother, and that was the end of that. I never really got a woman's perspective outside of my home. And so I was very enthused to
She got
talk to you
5
about
vitamins
that.
in the
Look,
fridge.
we can go into a lot of things. I give you a lot of credit. I mean, you turned a difficult situation that made.
I give her no credit at all. She didn't do nothing. What did she do? She's fucking Rat's daughter. What kind of credit did she get, man? Squeak, squeak. I give you all that credit.
Many people can't cope in and survive well in, and you turned it into.
The thing is, the problem I have with Miss Gravano here, she tries to exploit the pain and misery of other people. That is the type of person that Karen Gravano is. That's the type of person her father is, and he passed it down to her. And she doesn't give a shit about any of the victims or any of that shit. She does not care. She don't care.
To a successful story for yourself. You're doing well. You've done a lot of things, that are pretty out in the open. We don't have to go into everything. But I will tell you this, though. I'm going to be honest with you. I wasn't crazy about Mob Wives.
I know a lot of people weren't crazy about that show.
Yeah, neither was what's her name? One of the Mob Wives girls who's in it. I forgot her name. Rizzo, I think it was. One of them. Her father was furious that they were doing the Mob Wives, and she went against all his wishes. She didn't give a shit about what he was gonna deal with them doing that show. She didn't care. They didn't give a fuck. They didn't care about the repercussions at all.
When I first started the show,
Another thing she says here, listen close. She talks about the Gottis. She tries to insinuate that the Gottis should have been on board with Mob Wives. Like, what kind of delusional world are they living in? Like, this lady's father put their father in prison for the rest of his life. And they're like, oh yeah, we're just people. They should get over. Watch what she says.
Idea was pitched to me about women who overcome adversity. I was very leery about being on the show in the first place because I just thought my story had way too much baggage.
Her father, right?
TV. And I kind of knew
Renee Graziano, her father was furious that she did Mob Wives, and they did it anyway for the money. They didn't care. They didn't care that other people were going to be affected,
knew going into it that I would be the one to take the brunt of everything. But it was more or less pitched, women, they come together, you have history with all these girls, and you overcame it. And, the first episode, I think I flew to New York and I realized I was the outcast, and that was how the storyline was going to go. I got mad, and it caused me to want to fight. Like, they were attacking me, I'm fighting back.
World is crazy, man. The rat is the hero now. The rats are the hero of the world. Fucking insane. You'll never get my my admission for that fucking movie. Fuck off.
And then, the first 2 seasons were actually really hard for me. I just felt like this isn't what I signed up for. Mob wives don't fight. Like, I never seen women in my kind of lifestyle, like my mother or my aunts, or people fist fighting each other and throwing tables over. But
Costanza,
you're
what's
caught
up,
in
bro?
the moment and you're the one that's being attacked all the time. That's what it is. Like, I have, I guess, a little bit of my father's temper. So when people poke the bear, it's like I'm gonna react. And it took me until about season
You see how she's built, man?
3 and 4 to realize that this isn't about what I thought it was. It's, reality TV in itself is a whole different beast. and people just feed into.
It was all set up bullshit is what it was. Look at her. She made a fool of herself on that show. Really bad. And they were probably involved with dealing drugs right there. Right there. She was probably involved with the drug distribution at this time in her life. You ever think of that?
Drama. So, we kind of gave them what they want. The show was a huge success. It was in, 25 different countries. And it was my springboard to go other places. The good thing is I kind of went through the war zone and came out. I got an executive producer deal at Viacom, and I've been working on a couple of shows. So I had to go through that whole war zone to come out on top, I guess, is how I look at it.
I'm glad to hear that.
All right, watch. The statement's going to be coming up. So this is very important. You guys listen to this. She's going to say how she thought life was normal. You don't talk about being in the mob or any of that shit. Life was normal. She said her dad's friends would be there. He'd be interested in buying their business, and all of a sudden they would turn up dead. Now, why would they turn up dead? Why do you think? Because Sammy wanted their business, and he killed them and took their business. Tried to make it seem to his daughter and to his family like, oh, they just died in the streets. So let's get into it. Make sure you pay attention to what she says about her father. And a lot of this video, she's bragging about shit her father does. There's no remorse in any of these people.
Worked out so well, and I'm really happy about what you said, because when people ask me about the show, I said, listen, reality TV producers, they want controversy, they want conflict.
What's good, man?
And even the participants, they're not going to realize that that's what they're going to be pushed to
beat
do that.
her ass.
And I know, because
yes,
we almost did a reality show with
Omerta Rats.
And when we did the pilot, they had my daughters fighting with each other. I mean, and my wife said, no, we're not doing this. This is not what we signed up for, and we didn't go forward with it. But I love what you just said, in that growing up, we never saw
his brother-in-law. You're right about that, man. He killed his own brother-in-law, not to mention a teenage boy.
our
Rest in peace to Alan Kaiser. Go to Facebook and sign up. There's a petition on there.
mothers fighting with one another, or the wives of people in that life fighting with one another. And that's what I told people. I said, that's staged. That's not the way it really is. And I'm glad you said that.
What are you doing today to change your mood? Me?
Let me take this. I'll play this. I'll go like that, and then when it's over, I'll play it again. She's crazy, man. Wait till you see this part. When she says it, I was like, wow. When I was watching the interview, I was like, holy shit. Maybe she didn't mean to say that. She's like, yeah, my dad's friends would be there, and then all of a sudden they'd be dead. He wanted to buy their business, and they'd just be dead. Someone killed them. It's your dad.
And it started taking a turn. It was like we really just didn't like each other, and it took that direction as opposed to what I had to go through in my life and I had to overcome. And I just want to say one thing really quick. They actually did interview Nina Castellano for the show, and they had her in.
Can you believe that? Now listen to the hypocrisy of this shit she's saying right here. They interviewed Castellano, one of the granddaughters of Castellano, Paul. And she was like, why would they have anything to do with you? Why? You weren't anywhere near their level at all. And when her dad ended up ratting in New York City, she was a disgrace of New York. She still is. The disgrace of New York. People in the neighborhood and all, they didn't want nothing to do with these people after her dad ratted. They were shunning her ass.
In the green screen room, and they were just like, how do you feel about Karen? And Nina and I were very close, even after the Castellano hit. People don't understand it, but I always give my props to the Castellano and the Gambino family. They are very classy. They carried themselves very classy.
Do you hear her? I give props to the Gambino family and the Castellanos. I bet you wouldn't if they did what they felt like they want to do. I'm sure you wouldn't say that. You wouldn't be saying that, Karen. Because I don't think they want to be friends with you, Karen. And I think that probably upsets her a little bit. You think, people? Probably.
Classy, and you know, she wouldn't say one bad thing about me. So obviously, she didn't get casted
Not to your face.
on the show. But you know, we went to school, and she said that's not my business. You know, Karen and I always grew up close. We had a friendship. We had our own relationship, and like I said, I guess the producers didn't feel that would be a good enough storyline, so she didn't make the show. Which I thought if she would have kind of been unique and really show what the culture that we grew up in, it would have had a whole different feel because we were kids. You know, we were a part of something that was bigger than us. And, you know, Nina and I went to school. We went to Staten Island Academy together. We had a really good friendship. It was definitely a little awkward when the Castellano hit happens because of, you know, my father being in the newspaper and John.
Awkward? Do you know how awkward it probably was for the Castellano granddaughter to be around you? When she knew that you were involved somehow, your father was involved. So how awkward it was for her, not you. You knew your father did this shit. Or maybe she didn't know. But she had a clue. Come on, man. Your father isn't in that level of the life and you don't know what's going on. You have an idea. I'm sure he didn't fill you in on the Castellano hit, but all the newspapers did when it happened.
But she never came to school and talked about it. It wasn't something where she said, I can't be friends with you. The men in our lifestyle growing up in that generation of the mob kept their business.
Shout out to Angel. What's up, Angel? Ask Garofalo sisters and Alan Kaiser sisters how they feel about her. Hey, get me in touch with them. I'll do an interview with them and put it out there. The truth about them. About how they feel. Because I think these people have it misconstrued. Karen thinks, honestly, Angel, Karen thinks that you guys should all just be friends and move on. Watch what she says in this interview. It's insane.
Business to the men. It really didn't spill over into the household where, you know, like I said, women and children are fighting each other.
Well, you know what? That's so right. I'm so happy to hear this because this is reality. You know, I've said the same thing. Everything I knew about my father's life, I knew from observation. I knew from the media. I knew from other people, never from him. He never brought it into the house. He never talked about it. They didn't sit down. It wasn't dinner table discussion. You know, unfortunately, our dads were pretty notorious and we saw a lot and we heard a lot, but it didn't come directly from them. There was that kind of respect in the household. And I'm glad you saw that too.
She would do anything in the world to be friends with you, Angel, or any of your family. She would do anything in the world.
And I kind of see, you know, I didn't know him back.
I could tell the type of person that she is, and she seizes opportunities and tries to exploit them, just like her father does.
Back then, but I see Sammy, you know, behaving the same way with his family. So it's good to hear. Let me ask you, knowing that though, and how did you deal with it?
That's right. Mr. Mike was a rat too. Mr. Michael Francis was a rat too, man. People don't know that. I didn't put anyone in prison, but you stood up there like this. Put your hand on the Bible.
Hey, that's my dad. I love him. Because I always say this. Kids want to love their parents. You got to give kids a real reason for them not to love you. And I love my father no matter what. I don't care what he was doing. He was a great father, good husband to my mother, supportive of me. I loved him. I wasn't interested in
She looks like a Broncos linebacker.
And, you know, I'd love to know how you feel about that.
You know, I always say my father was my provider. He was my protector. And to this day, he is the one that if I need to figure something out, I'm going to go to him. You know, we had a great relationship growing up. he was just normal to me. Like he always joked around. I mean, everybody that came in my house, my friends, they felt comfortable. Like I said, it was never outside business brought into the house.
Hey Angel, I'm gonna drop the link in the chat if you want to jump on here and throw anything to this conversation. More than welcome.
House. Yes, I've seen things, but my father had a way of making me
Here it is. You ready?
feel like everything's going to be okay. Even if I was to question something, like there was a time when I was a kid where there was a murder outside his nightclub, you know, and I had heard little things around the house, him speaking to my uncle. I knew that he was upset with the person that was going to purchase it.
Watch.
And then the guy winds up dead. For a minute, I was like, wait a minute. But then
the guy was gonna purchase the club and then he winds up dead. And she's like, wait a minute. She knew exactly what was going on. Okay, let me bring that back a little bit and you guys can hear it again.
like there was a time when I was a kid where there was a murder outside his nightclub, you know, and I had heard little things around the house, him speaking to my uncle. I knew that he was upset with the person that was going to purchase it. And then the guy winds up dead. For a minute, I was like, wait a minute. But then he's just, you know, he's just acting normal. And, you know, as a kid, you're thinking like if someone would commit a murder, it would be, you know, you're thinking they're going to be frantic. It's going to be this whole thing. And
No, your dad was calm. He killed his buddies all the time. It was a natural thing to him. He's like, fuck, you know what? I need this club. He's like, I'm just gonna kill this dude. He wants to buy my club. I'll just kill him. And then we got Angel Gotti in the building, people. Hi, Angel.
Hello, Staxx.
How are you?
How are you?
I'm great. Did you see this interview?
No, not at all.
Well, they mentioned you quite a bit in here. They mentioned the Gotti family quite a bit in this interview.
Oh, do they really?
Yeah. At one part, they say that you guys should all just forget about it and just move on. I was like, what?
That's not happening.
Yeah, it's wild.
Not even, listen, I have nothing in common with her. Nothing. She seems to think we have a lot in common. We don't. I don't have anything in common with her. She is younger than me. She is not somebody that I would ever be friends with, just for the fighting, the cursing, the way she acted on TV. I have nothing in common with her. Nothing.
Yeah.
And I don't like her father. I think he's a child-killing piece of shit. Excuse my language.
I agree with you. So
Yeah.
when you were younger, did you ever hear about her when she was?
The only thing I've ever heard about her is she had opened a florist in Brooklyn, and my father wanted everyone to get their flowers from her. Like he told everybody when they have to order flowers to order them through her. That is it. I heard nothing else ever about her.
And that was before her father.
Yeah, that was before everything. Yeah. That's the only thing, nothing else. And her father, I think, was only in my house one time because of my mom was redoing the kitchen. And that's it. I don't ever remember anything. I think I met him 2 times. Once at the MCC and one time at my brother John's wedding. That's it.
Was that before when you met him at MCC? That was before he cooperated?
Yes.
What were they having, like a powwow before court?
No, he was there. My dad was there. I was with my father and my mother, and he was with his wife. And I told this a few times already. He was complaining about there was no mail on a Saturday. And my father says, "Oh, all right, what are you going to do?" You know, but then he said it again. And I saw my father got like a little embarrassed that Like, you're complaining. This is the second time you're saying we don't get mail on Saturdays. And my mother said she always knew he was gonna turn out to be the way that he is.
Yeah, because I mean, once he must have had this in his mind to cooperate way before he did it. People don't just cooperate.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, he must have been thinking about it.
Yeah. Well, it didn't take him long. What was it, like, I think 6 or 8 months, something like that, before he
I thought it was 4 months.
yeah, all right, so 4 months, whatever it was. It didn't take very long. And he keeps saying that, you know, my father was going to throw him under the bus, but we know that's not true now.
He was the umbrella holder for your father.
That's what I used to call him. He was the umbrella holder.
Yeah, and he would hold the doors. Like, come on,
Yeah.
like, that's the type of stuff he would do. Like, he was.
Yes, he did.
So here, I'll play a little bit more of this interview, and you tell me what you think. The good parts are coming up.
Okay.
And you know, he just didn't skip a beat. It was, you know, life didn't change. Everything just went according to plan. So I never questioned it.
Was that Angel? When you were younger and there was things going on in the street, say murders happened and things. She just said life just went on, didn't skip a beat. Is that true? Or would there be like everyone stays in the house? Would there be like protocol when things would happen in the streets?
No, my father didn't bring that stuff into our house. Like, my father didn't have his friends come in our house. You know, none of that happened in our house. So if anything did happen out there, I wouldn't know about it. I
Would he
did
ever
know, like,
tell
I
you?
knew when things happened and it was in the newspapers, yeah. But we didn't talk about it. We didn't discuss it. He would never talk about it in front of us.
Would there ever be times where he would send you with extra people, extra
No,
protection out
never,
there, or anything like that?
never. Like, that never happened.
From what she says, she just says it just goes on like nothing. What
Well,
about when the Paul Castellano hit happened? What was there?
no, nothing. You couldn't even mention it. You couldn't say a word. I remember one time he was leaving, and I don't know, maybe it was around that time. I don't remember. But all I said to him was, he said, "I'll see you later, Dad." I said, "Okay, be careful." Oh my God. The 2 worst words that I ever said to him, I never said them again. Never, ever did I ever tell him, be careful. Because he was so be careful. What do I have to be careful about? What do you mean I have to be careful? I was
Yeah.
like, I'm just saying be careful.
Then he starts questioning you, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So she's kind of right in that regard, because that's how my dad was. He didn't bring anything home to our house.
All right, let's get back into this.
When I got older, I mean, I think when it came time for the Castellano hit, I realized that my father was definitely involved in that. But I also, as a person, I felt looking in like everyone else from the outside. It's like, I don't know why. And everybody asked me this question, and maybe you can answer it. I never questioned, you know, people said, didn't you want to ask him? And I'm like, no, it just wasn't something that ever crossed my mind. I never wanted to sit down with him and ask him, like, did you do that? Or I don't know. It was never told to me, like, don't ever ask these questions. It was just something that was almost brought up the way we were brought up. Like, my friends' fathers were involved. My uncles were involved. So I had my own little community that were like me. I went to school. The kids were different at school, but I never felt different because I grew up around, you know, so many people that had relatives in that lifestyle.
No, I totally get that, because I remember one time I had a run-in with a detective, and I forget the exact words, but he looked at me and he says, "Why do you respect your father? Do you know that he's killed over 30 people?" And that just got me mad. I didn't care. And I never went to my dad and I never said, "Hey, did you ever kill 30 people? This is what this guy told me." The only time I ever questioned my father about anything, and I was older, I was 20 years old, 19, I said, "Dad," because, you know, he was indicted and convicted of masterminding a nationwide string of bank robberies. And the witnesses against him were all drug addicts, every one of them, because I went to the trial and they all admitted it. And I said, Dad, bank robbery with drug addicts. I said, would you do something like that? Because my dad, from the time I was a kid, preached against drugs. He hated drugs. Yeah, he would make up stories about people that got killed with drugs. He would make them up, just to scare me, which was very effective because I never took a drug. But I would never ask him until that one time. It's like I didn't want to know, or it almost didn't matter. I don't know if that's good or bad. I really don't. So, I mean, I understand what you're saying. You just don't want to know. You don't want to ask. You don't care in a way.
Right. No, that's what it is. As like you said earlier, your parents are, kids don't disrespect their parents or don't not love their parents until they're given a reason. And I was never given that reason at home. I had a beautiful childhood.
Well, you know what? In many respects, mine was interrupted a lot because my dad got in trouble when I was very young, and he kept going to trial, going to jail, in and out, and all that kind of stuff. But, I did see one thing. It had a tremendous impact. My brothers and sisters couldn't cope, and my mother and my father, their relationship really got strained as the years went on, and he did all that time in prison. So, I say this, I want to know how you feel about it. I've always said this: the mob life, mafia, Cosa Nostra, what we call it in this country, it's an evil lifestyle. And I say that, I don't call the guys evil. I was one of them. I'm just very fortunate to be where I am. But I don't know any family of any member of that life that hasn't been in some ways devastated or really negatively impacted in a large way. And any lifestyle that does that to a family is just a bad lifestyle. And how do you feel about that? I mean, growing up in it, seeing the impact.
I
And yet
definitely
they all
feel
make
like
money now from it.
Huh?
It's funny because they all make money now from that lifestyle, right?
Yeah, all of them do.
They all complain how bad it was, and yet there they are making tons of money off of it. So they're both full of shit.
They don't have any remorse. Her father still thinks he's a gangster. He still thinks he's in the streets.
Exactly.
It's nothing changed. He just acts like he didn't cooperate, and people are like praising this guy. It's crazy. Like I never thought there would be a time where the world would accept people who tell on other people. I never thought it would happen.
Exactly. And See No Evil, he was on Wednesday night. He was on my show Wednesday night. But go ahead. I'm sorry, Staxx.
Yeah, they talk about they're not exploiting it, but they all profit off it.
Yeah.
They all profit off it.
Exactly.
It's crazy. It's coming up right now that when she starts talking about the Gottis and stuff right here.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure it's right here.
a good side to that lifestyle, but there's also very negative things. And that's why even when, other families like the Castellanos or the Gottis, I feel like we're kind of bonded for life.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's not the first time she has said that. And no, we are not bonded for life. I don't know why she can't accept that. No, we are not bonded for life.
Like, you don't want to be her friend, right?
No, I don't. No. It's crazy.
Growing.
I'm not going to say anything bad about her. I'm just going to say, no, we are not bonded for life.
She acts like you guys are mob sisters or something.
No. We never were. We never will be.
Crazy.
Up in it, seeing the impact.
I definitely feel like there were perks and a good side to that lifestyle, but there's also very negative things. And that's why even when I came out with Mob Wives and, other families like the Castellanos or the Gottis, I feel like we're kind of bonded for life because we all were affected by a certain lifestyle. And that's to say, of course, a lot of them don't like me. They didn't like the fact that I came out on TV. They don't like the fact that, there are some truths that they don't want spoken. That
She
doesn't like it when you call her father what he is. That's the truth that she gets upset about.
Yeah, right when you start calling him a rat and stuff.
Exactly.
He gets mad.
No, she doesn't like, whatever.
I mean, it is what it is. He cooperated. He testified against a lot of people. It wasn't just one person.
No. 39, I think it is, 38 or 39 people he sent to prison.
So like how do people just move on and get over it? For the money? For the business? Is that the reason? It's crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
She talks about you guys some more.
Okay. She
That I
always
will.
She always does, right?
But you'll notice we never speak about her.
Yeah.
None of us ever speak about her. But she
But-
has to always bring us up.
So after Sammy cooperated, did you hear about anything about her in New York City? What was her reputation back then? Once he cooperated.
I don't know. Because like I said, I didn't know her. I had never met her. I still have never met her till today.
Oh wow. So people out there probably think that you guys know each other, you know?
No, we don't. My sister doesn't know her either.
That's
No.
good. You can clarify it for
Yeah.
everybody.
My brother John knew her, but not my sister and I, not my brother Peter either.
All right, let me get back to the interview.
Upon, but the reality is we've all been through something, and they love their fathers just like I love my fathers, and these families were torn apart. The reality is a lot of people like to call themselves victims, and I think a victim mentality won't get you far in life. So it's like you have to pick up the pieces and see how to overcome it, and that is confronting things and admitting to things. Like a lot of times, even with the Gottis, let's just say, and I don't, to bring them up.
She can't stop talking about you guys.
She doesn't want to bring us up, but let's bring them up.
She just talked about you 2 seconds ago, right? And then she's like, for instance, the Gottis. I hate to keep bringing them up, but I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Let's listen to what she says.
When Mob Wives came out, they would always attack me and take shots at me, and I would just laugh. I would just sit back and be like, I feel like no matter what, we've all been through something. So why not just come together and put it on the table? Like, there's really, like you said, not a lot of good that's going to come out of this unless we all join forces and say, listen, we were all affected in one way.
Join forces. Now, what do you think of that? She wants to join forces with you.
Yeah, Angela, the right winger. We were all on Twitter together, and I don't remember ever attacking her, Gravano, but I do remember some things coming back at me. Am I lying, Ange? Oh, I remember the time she got on Twitter and said something like that we deny my mother's Jewish, or she said something that my mother is Jewish, and I was like, wow. That shows me your father really didn't know my my family that well, because my mother is not Jewish. But that's what I mean. I never attacked her.
I mean, some people make up false narratives, like they want you guys to attack her.
Exactly. In fact, one time somebody was attacking her daughter, and I defended her daughter. And then she came at me because she thought that I said something about her daughter. I'm like, dummy, I stuck up for your daughter. And then she's like, oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. But yeah, see, Angela, I never went after her. Never. So she's full of it.
And you see this? This is only 15 minutes into this interview. It's an hour long. It's only 15 minutes into it. They already mentioned you 3 times.
Oh, wow.
Crazy. All right, let's see.
Does Michael mention us?
Yeah, he does.
Oh.
Yeah.
All stories ended up differently, but the reality is, we had the same path, and it's like how you overcome that. So, I agree with you. It's definitely evil, but you got to be able to accept it and change it.
Well, I agree, and I don't see why anybody would harm. Well, I guess I could. I mean, with the Gottis. Well, let me ask you, how did you feel about John? I have to ask you this because viewers are going to say, why didn't you ask her? How did you feel about John Gotti?
Okay, so he was definitely a larger than life character. He would walk in a room and commands attention. He carried himself. He kind of just wreaked power when he would walk in. So especially when my father cooperated, like I couldn't understand it. I was like, it took me a long time, now, because of not just what my father has told me, because of things that I had to see in my life, knowing what Cosa Nostra is supposed to be, he destroyed that lifestyle. He'd walk in a room like who he was, but the reality is no one's supposed to know who you are. And that kind of
right. But what's her father doing now after he cooperated?
Well, before her father cooperated, he used to hold Tuesday night meetings on his little avenue there. I forgot what it was, 18th Avenue, and cars would be lined up and double parked. So she's full of it. She's it's just like it was only my father caught on tapes, not her father as well.
Yeah, was Sammy a showboat, or was he like a showing off type back then?
Look at the videos of him and my father walking together. Look how he's walking down the street. Does that look like somebody who doesn't want to be outside?
No.
Okay, thank you.
It looks like he's ready for the cameras.
Yeah, exactly.
And then he tries to say that he was surprised when your dad said, "This is our public." He's like, "What do you mean we don't have a public?"
Who says that my father said that?
He's saying it.
Okay.
Could be all bullshit.
I don't know.
Most likely. I mean, a lot of the stuff he says. And then he tries to say, like, he's good friends with Joe. He was good friends with Joe Watts, and he wanted to get him out of prison. He didn't do this and that. Like, what?
Yeah, he said this. He said about Frankie
Locascio, yeah.
Exactly. They kept that man in there for 29 years. He didn't belong there. And then all of a sudden, he wanted to be hero, him and his daughter, and get Frankie out. Yeah, it's 29 years too late.
Yeah, they got a change of heart, right?
Exactly.
Behavior, and that kind of put it in the face. He, in my opinion, destroyed more families than my father, or when it came to
of course
30-something people he testified.
Yes,
against.
exactly.
And this, he goes on his show and he's like, "Oh, Cosa Nostra till I die and all this. I'm a gangster." Everyone's like, he's a gangster. Then why didn't you follow through with what you're supposed to follow through in that life if you're such a gangster?
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that, Ange. She did try to start with me for exactly, and I knew what she was up to. It was trying to fight with me on Twitter to bring ratings to that show, but I wouldn't do it. I didn't do it at all.
She's trying to bait you in like a lot of these other people. Like Fathead and all these other people that try to do the same thing. They think that they're going to get some cover of National Enquirer and they're going to be famous for their lack of talent.
Yeah, I didn't
no skills, no talent.
I didn't fall for it. I wouldn't fight with her on Twitter. Not at all.
The other dude, he's trying to do the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a female version of this lady.
Yeah, exactly.
Bringing down the mob and drawing heat. Like, he was the poster child for organized crime. He was the reason why I believe the government went after Cosa Nostra in the way that they did, because John Gotti had a put it in your face type of attitude, which...
So does that give her dad the right to cooperate? Even if he was a put it in your face guy, I'm a gangster, does that give him the right to cooperate?
Well, why did he have to why become friends with somebody who's put it in your face gangster?
Yeah, why does she want to join forces with the Gottis?
Yeah, well, that's not happening. Listen, she can have her opinions. She can have all the opinions, that she wants. She can blame my father all she wants. I still don't want to be your friend, Sammy's son.
I'm sure none of your family wants to be her friend.
No, nobody wants to be her friend. Nobody.
She was shunned. I heard she was shunned from New York after all this happened.
I don't know, because I didn't, like I said, I didn't know her. But I know that if it wasn't for my younger brother, her brother would have caught something in a club one night, and my brother Peter stopped that. So,
Oh, Gerard.
uh-huh.
So what do you feel about them after he gets out of prison and they all start dealing drugs together?
That's exactly what everybody predicted. You know, like when back then people would say to me, I hope he dies, I hope he dies, and I would always say, no, I don't hope he dies. I just want him to go through a little bit of what my father went through. And sure enough, it happened to him. He ended up behind bars. For a few years he was in lockdown, total lockdown, solitary confinement, and he got sick. Yeah, and he got sick, so he kind of did. You know, the only thing is that, you know, my father died in prison, solitary confinement, didn't ask for a damn thing from, you know, from anybody, and he died the tough guy that he, you know, always was. And her father will always be a rat.
And it will never
So
change.
the
It
day
will
he dies,
always.
it's always going to be, you know, the rat.
Yeah, it will never change. He's the one
Yeah.
who ratted. So like
Exactly.
they're trying to change the narrative. Like your father's the reason he
Yeah.
had to do it.
Uh-huh.
He's no different from the other guy, from this guy or anyone else that
Any of
cooperates.
them. Exactly.
They're all the same. Here, let me click this video again and see what else bullshit she's saying.
Now knowing what I know, you know, when my father cooperated, I was 19 years old. I didn't understand Cosa Nostra. Now knowing what I know, because, and this is what's unique about me. A lot of people, I wasn't a gangster. I grew up very shielded, surrounded by that life, but protected.
Why does she act like she's a gangster then?
I don't know why. I don't know why.
She just said, I'm not a gangster. I wasn't in that life. So why does she go around acting like she's one?
Yeah, I don't know.
Honestly, I think that Sammy acts like he's in the mob now. He thinks he has a little mob around him, you know?
Yeah.
I really think that they think they're like a real mob.
See, I don't watch him. I've never watched one of his things. So I just get from what other people say about him, the way he acts right now. But I've never watched not one of his shows, podcasts, whatever you want to call it.
In my own household. But after my father cooperated, I had to learn a lot on my own, who to trust, who not to trust. Why did this happen? You know, I had to kind of like do my own investigating, and then also, you know, come encounter with some of the people that were in my father's lifestyle and try to understand, you know, how I could proceed, how I can move forward. Because, you know, I didn't go, my brother, my mother, and myself, we didn't leave into the witness protection program for years. Like, we never went in the witness protection program. Let me clarify that. But we stayed in Staten Island. And like I said, there was a hit put out on my brother.
She's lying.
And people who we can.
Yeah, so
she's lying.
They said that there was a hit put out on the brother. Yeah. And then Michael Francis starts talking about how they shouldn't be involved. The family shouldn't be involved.
Yeah, that's a lie. It was my father who said no one is to harm a hair on their heads. You know, I can't. Whatever.
So your father basically protected them after he ratted on them.
Exactly. Even though, because they were still in Staten Island, but they weren't there as long as she says they were. But they were there, and my father was the one who said not a hair on their heads should anybody touch. So she's lying.
Michael seems like he's surprised about this.
Watch. Yeah, exactly.
Considered uncles. So it was
a hit on Gerard?
Yeah, there was a hit put out on Gerard. So he was 15 years old. Actually, Joe Watts, I believe. I don't know if my father ever spoke about it, but he was the one. And it went to someone that was, I think it went to Joey Bellotti, had heard about it, because the kids that were supposed to lure Gerard to a nightclub, because they were going to kill him to send a message to my father, they wound up telling someone, and it wound up getting back to Joey Bellotti. And Joey Bellotti went to the kids and said, if one hair on that kid's head is touched, you know, it'll be
She's lying.
She's a fuck.
Did you hear this? But all right, she's lying.
She just took what you said and switched it
Yeah,
around.
exactly.
Wow. She's full of false narratives here, huh?
Yeah,
They're trying to change history. They're trying to change the way things
exactly.
were. They're acting like they stayed in Long Island, like because they're tough.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Craziness. Let's see what other bullshit she got. And we're only 18 minutes into this
Yeah.
interview.
A huge problem, and it got called off. And then later the FBI had found out, and they're the ones that came and told my brother, I told my father, you got to get these kids out of here, you got to get your wife and kids out of New York. And I actually refused to go. My opinion was,
Big tough girl refused to
Yeah.
go.
So the FBI didn't find out till after, and then she refused. Oh my God.
She stood up to the Gambino
Yeah,
family,
this is
right?
funny. This is funny.
And Michael Francis, don't strike my channel, man. Fair use.
Yeah.
was like, well, if they're gonna kill me, then they could kill me. I'm not going. I don't condone what you did. That's not my.
She's a fucking liar.
No. That part she's actually is not lying about. She didn't want to go, but that's because she had a boyfriend. She had a boyfriend and she didn't want to go.
But she wasn't like, oh, if they're gonna kill me, they're gonna kill me.
Nobody was gonna kill her.
She was afraid for her life.
No.
Deep inside,
Well, she could have been, but nobody was ever gonna hurt her.
When did this interview happen? This interview happened 2 days ago.
Oh, all right.
2 days ago.
My lifestyle, and listen, I had to make my own mistakes. I acted out because, like you said, your sisters and people had difficulty coping with it. I did at a point. I acted out. I, rebelled. I sold drugs. I dated bad boys, and
sold drugs all the way up until she got caught with her dad.
Exactly.
I believe that they were selling drugs.
Exactly.
That whole time.
Exactly.
The reality is we wound up getting in trouble, and I had to sit back and analyze my life and my decisions and how I got from being a good girl owning a business to now I'm being indicted for drug charges. Like, how did this all play out? And I had to understand that in my.
All right, so she said I was a good girl running a business, but she's selling drugs on the side. And then she just said, where did my life go wrong?
Yeah, well, they also didn't like the fact that now somebody was ratting on them.
They took a page out of their father's book.
Yeah, they didn't like that now that they were going to be ratted on.
Guess what? Shit
Karma.
changes. Karma. And hey, I guaranteed they're probably involved with some illegal shit now. I have a strong feeling they can't stay away from the shit. They can't.
Well, I think they're making enough money now that they wouldn't have to do that, but who knows?
They were making enough money before from the construction.
Yeah, true. That's true.
Like he had millions of dollars. He walked away with millions of
right.
dollars.
You're right. The government let him keep all his ill-gotten gains.
Yeah.
They even went out and collected it for him.
So why did he have to go sell drugs if he had all that money?
You're right. I don't know.
If he has all that money now, I guarantee he's involved with weapons, something. He's involved with something. Drugs, weapons, something. You're not a gangster, Sammy. And if you are, prove it. You loser.
My mind to be able to move forward.
By the way, I love you, brother. Gerard and I get along really well, and we've had some, intimate conversations outside of your dad. All good, but I really like him a lot. He's a good young man, and I'm really sorry to hear that, man. We had a code that I thought was very well respected up until that point. It never bothered anybody's families or anything else. Because when I walked away and people were calling me every kind of name, and you're a rat, and you're this and that, my son was in New York, my oldest boy, and I never worried about him because people said, well, wow, your son is there. You think anybody's going to retaliate? And I said, no, for what? Nobody's going to do that. We never did anything like that, ever. So it's sad to hear something like that, but fortunately it didn't go the distance. But
see, he's talking about the hit that they allegedly put on Gerard when he was 15.
Yeah, right.
And he's very upset about it.
Mm.
Crazy.
But
Yeah, I mean, even someone like Joe Watson, someone that never really followed the codes, because it was revealed later that he was a cooperating witness, undercover informant. There's difference from a cooperating witness than an undercover.
Now, listen to this. This is funny. She's trying to explain how ratting, who's the bigger rat and who's the lower life form. Who's the lower life form?
Okay.
She explains her dad right here. Watch how she explains her dad.
CI, and he was supposedly working with the government for years. So I guess codes didn't apply to him.
yeah, what's the difference? I mean,
Yeah.
undercover informant, cooperating, it's the same thing.
Well, it's actually worse if you're undercover. I think if you're gonna walk away from the life and just let it be known, then that's one thing. But if you're gonna actually go undercover and lie to your best friends and be working with the government, to me, that's the lowest form of a human.
That's what her dad did.
Yeah.
It's exactly what her dad did.
Isn't it amazing?
That was his best friends.
Yeah.
He cooperated. So what is she talking about? She's explaining her father.
Well, as Mob Rats UK says, Sammy is the best rat.
Yeah, he's king rat.
Yeah.
Well, I could agree with that. You know, when Greg's people in that life and their kids, how did you feel about it?
Betrayed. I felt like my father, betrayed me.
I saw a guy walk up, he physically came.
Cause she thought she was like a princess gangster, right? Back in the day. And her dad rat and fucked it up for her. Like, honestly, people aren't gonna like that I say this, but yeah, let me not.
Something that you never do. It was like my brother and I would get in trouble for telling on each other. He would get in trouble for doing whatever I was telling on him for, and I would get in trouble for telling. So that was something that I
So now my dad's telling.
Yeah.
honestly couldn't even fathom. Like knowing my father and just being around him and knowing, he was up against cases before and that's not even a route that he chose. I was definitely upset. I couldn't wrap my brain around it. It was honestly the worst thing, pretty much still to this day, that I think that ever happened, especially between him and I. I was actually in one of the earlier conversations at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Lower Manhattan when he told me. I just was like, I don't care. There's no way I'm on board with this. And I walked out of the room. And I later found out, especially through that ABC special from George Gabriel, I think was one of the agents that talked about it, that the deal almost didn't happen because of me. So
Really?
if I would have known that then, I would have pushed harder. But
good. The deal shouldn't have happened. They should have exposed Sammy as being a liar, and John Gotti should have won the trial. But I mean, it's life, right? And it is what it is. You can't put spilt milk back into the glass.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to put spilt milk back into the glass and make everything all right.
Exactly.
Doesn't work that way, Karen.
it is what it is. Reality is everything happens for a reason. And I do understand a lot more of what I didn't understand then.
What was the relationship strained for a while as a result of that?
Oh yeah, it was a couple of years. That's when I just went on my, I'm going to clubs. I dated bad boys. I had a weed service in Manhattan. I almost felt like my whole life was ripped out from underneath me. And the people that were closest to me turned on me. Here I was, prior to my father cooperating, let her come over. Let's go on vacations. My birthdays, I'm getting diamond earrings and, exotic jewelry. And then my father cooperates and I'm not even welcome in the house. They're told they can't hang out with me. They can't be around me. They're sneaking. I had a lot of resentment too, just because.
Oh, poor you, Karen. Now, say the shoe was on the other foot, right? Can you imagine being in her shoes?
No.
Wow. It had to be crazy.
Yeah, I can't imagine being in her shoes.
What's going on with your show? You got more stuff coming?
Yes.
I know a lot of people like when you guys do like the Jeopardy type night.
last night we were on. I was not going on last night. It was Lee Cole who said, "Oh, how could you not go on? You haven't been on." But I was doing stuff. I was very busy. So then I said, you know what? I'll go on for like, I don't know, an hour or two. Well, I had so much fun. I laughed so hard last night with all of us together, and and somebody else was making fun of us, but yet, yeah, we beat you in views.
Hey, all they're gonna do, they're gonna keep talking. They're just gonna
Yeah.
fade away into nothingness, you know.
Exactly. For wasn't on for I think 3 days, and no, so I didn't say a word about that person, and yet that person still had 2 shows about me, bashing me, trashing me, lying as usual. But whatever.
Let him keep doing it. He's gonna
Whatever.
run out of stuff. He's not gonna last. I can guarantee that.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Exactly.
he's not even worth mentioning. That
I know.
fat-headed
I
retard.
know. Well, I don't think we mentioned him that much last night. I think we were making fun, like just making fun of the things that he says about me is what I would like. That's what I'll do. I'll just make fun of the things, the lies that he tells about me. That's it.
People
But
like when you guys put out real content, you know,
Exactly.
laughing, joking around, you guys talking about different things.
We had so much fun last night. I don't know, but Kane Shades and Lee Cole together are so funny. How they talk to each other. It's funny. We had a great time last night. Really, really
Shout out to
great
Kane
time.
Shades.
My stomach was hurting. That's how hard we laughed.
Yeah, I love
So,
laughing like that.
And tomorrow night I'll have something that my brother Peter did for my father, and I'll read some more of my father's letters to me, and we'll see where that goes from there.
That'll be cool. Because I'm gonna turn this into a part 2 too. So I'll do another.
All right, good.
I'll do another. I'll
All
do
right.
another episode of this, and I'll invite you back on, and we
All
can
right,
go
very
over it.
good. Yep.
But thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, thank you so much.
I'm gonna
Thank
edit
you for
some
always
videos.
coming on. Thank you all for always coming on me when I ask you.
Definitely.
Coming
No
on
problem.
mine.
Of course. Shout out to
Guys,
everyone out there who watches the
Hello,
show. I
everyone.
appreciate
Yeah.
all of you.
I will now bounce myself, Staxx.
I'll see you tonight. I'll be over there. I'll check you guys out.
Bye.
Thank you guys all for joining me. I appreciate you. Make sure you guys hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. Part 2's coming soon. And I'll be back on later. So hit the like button. Go check out Angel Gotti's show later. Peace.